Now an award-winning crime adventure author that we met some time ago is coming back to share his new experiences. He drew from his rich background in law enforcement, firefighting, and EMT services. So he wrote based on those experiences, which shaped his style, and it's finally showing the results he deserves. Today we say to this coming back author, welcome back to Writing Inspiration with More Cute Books. Hello Ryan, how are you?
How are you? Thanks for having me.
It has been a long time, right?
Been a while, yeah. About a year.
Oh, okay. Still doing shows every week. So Ryan, tell me, what about you? Oh, I see your new background. All right. So you publish a new book?
Yes, we did the follow-up to Bone Deep Blues, which you and I spoke about when that first published. We actually re-released it with a new cover because it's now the J.D. Walker Adventure Series. So it's book 1 and book 2. And so we did a new cover to kind of tie in the fact that it's all part of the same series now. So we have 2 books out there, and J.D. is the central character in both books, as well as the villains and all the supporting characters.
Okay. Interesting. So, when did you publish this new book?
Fire and Ice Blues published 10 days ago.
Oh, okay. So it's fresh from the oven.
Yes, it is.
Any good reaction?
So far, they're new out there, so it's a fledgling, but people are picking up on it, and I've gotten some good feedback already. Yeah.
Oh, how long did it take you to finish this book?
This one took me about a year.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I was a little more focused than I was in the first book. So I was able to hone in and a little more stick to itness. And it took about a year to from the first words to being on Amazon.
Okay. Oh, so you only publish in Amazon right now, or are you planning to release in other places?
Right now, it's just Amazon, but I'm planning to expand that out over the next few months to some other platforms.
Okay. So, Brian, how have you been doing this last year that we didn't see you? Do you have any other stories that you can share?
Actually, I'm working on one right now that is going to be complete, I'd say, relatively soon. It's just kind of like in my fine-tuning stage right now. Basically, it's written. It's called the Day I Spoke to God. It's about a young man who suffered from substance abuse and passes away, and is confronted with some realizations of his effect on people's lives, and is given a choice. He has 3 doors to choose from, and one will lead to redemption, and one would lead to paradise, and one the far less happy choice.
Far less happy.
Yeah, it's the down escalator.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I don't know if we. Yeah, good choice of words. I'm not sure exactly if you can say that word right these days in YouTube. Thank you for that. So, okay. What interesting concept. So the person itself is the one that chooses.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like that concept. It reminds me something I saw before, but usually it's always related to some judgment. So in the end, the decision is never the person.
No, it's self-reflection on his part. Has a Damon Runyon isk quality about it, because it's I think most people are familiar with It's a Wonderful Life concept, because he looks back on his life and he sees where he's gone and what he's done and the effect it's had on other people. Then he's presented with a choice of what's the next step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that, and it's a very interesting concept, because in the end, most people will just think they go to paradise.
Yeah,
But if you
like I said, he's got got a choice. and he has to reflect on everything that's happened in his life and makes the choice that is presented to him.
Okay, okay. So, Brian, tell me, how have you been this year regarding your other books? Like, the sales, the reaction of people. Have you been going to events to promote yourself?
I haven't had the opportunity to go out and do any events. That's just hasn't presented itself to me. But the results have been good. Sales have been always could be better, of course, but the acclimates that I've gotten, I've actually received a couple of awards for Bone Deep Blues. I got the Global Book Award, a gold medal for in the crime fiction category, and the International Impact Award. I was presented for the Adventure series, and both very gratifying. The overall reaction was very gratifying. The reviews have been good, and of course, there's always a handful of people that are resistant to reviews, but so sales outnumbered the reviews, but that's to be expected.
Wow, that's so great. So you have been going to a festival to get your awards. When did this happen?
The awards happened. There was two of them. Probably, I think the most recent was just around the turn of the year. I think in like November or December. I got the second award, and again both for Bone Deep Blues and the International Impact Award. Fire and Ice Blues has been nominated there as well. So we're waiting to see the results from this year's polling on that.
Oh, when it's going to be?
I think it's late August. I think I'll know.
Wow, it's very close. Are you
Yep,
excited?
very much so.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's another possible award if you won that too.
Yep, and they have a big Jubilee convention types event. I think it's in Phoenix in I think August of this year. That's always fun to look forward to.
Okay, okay. Yeah, it is. So, Ryan, going back a bit regarding your book. So, I don't think I ever asked you this on the last show, but how did you name your books?
Well, J.D. Walker is a former Navy SEAL who is now a blues musician. And blues music has been a part of my life since my mid to late teens. So I've always been part of that world. I've always enjoyed the music. I think it's the iconic American form of music, and it tells its own story in its own writing. And for that reason, J.D. Walker, with his lifestyle, I thought was a good pairing to be a blues musician. So the both books have music involved in it. Both books have lyrics involved in it. In fact, the digital copy of Fire and Ice Blue has a link to it for an actual recording of the song Fire and Ice Blues, which has been added to the book. So the title comes from obviously the fictional songs and the fictional band that JD belongs to. But it just keeps it in the whole genre of the blues music and the adventure series that they represent.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I get it now. So now that you have like more than one book out there, which one did you enjoy the most writing?
Well, I think your first is always the best. It's the one that gets you over the hump and gets you started. But Fire and Ice Blues, I truly enjoyed writing as well because the reaction from people on the first book, wanting to know what happened next, wanting to know where it went. In truth, I wrote Bone Deep Blues with the intention of it being a standalone, but the reaction was so positive that Fire and Ice Blues was a natural thing to do. And it picked up the story where Bone Deep Blues left off, and it takes the story from the gritty streets of New York City to a tropical paradise in Belize. So it goes from the sunny beaches to the tropical forests and jungles of Belize. Gives it another twist in itself.
Okay, okay. So tell me, Brian, can you share with us another advice you will say to new writers starting right now?
Well, actually, I got to tell you, I took a little of your advice from the last conversation we had. You asked me that question last time, and I said, "Know what you write, write what you know."
Yeah, I
And
remember.
and you point out to me, well, people like Stephen King certainly don't know the things that he writes about, the science fiction and the horror, and if he does, God, he's got a bad thing going. But so I expanded myself a little more this time with not writing. The Bone Deep Blues was in New York. I'm very familiar with New York. I've worked there many years. So I was familiar with the locale. I wasn't as familiar with Belize as I was New York. So I stretched myself there. The research paid off well in that respect. And then, of course, the day I spoke to God, which is I'm about to put the finishing touches on. Completely spiritual, completely out of the realm of the J.D. Walker Adventure series. So I'm looking forward to seeing the reaction to that because it's very different.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I can see that. And really, this new book is completely different from the last one, actually.
Yeah, it is, and it means a lot. I've pulled a lot of personal experience from my law enforcement days into this book, dealing with people that I know that are trapped in the world of substance abuse and the effect it's had on them and their families. So all of that came into play on this book, and hopefully it blossoms into something really well.
Yeah, I hope so. So, in the end, did you learn something new while you wrote this recent new book?
Which one?
The
When the
second.
day I spoke to God or the Fire and Ice Blues?
Well, both.
Um, Fire and Ice Blues to me was just a continuation of Bone Deep Blues, and still I believe it hit hard with the realization of human trafficking awareness and the plight that it brings on the world today. I think it's still timely with all the media that has been circling about with the trial of Sean Combs and all the headlines involving Jeffrey Epstein. So it's out there, and for the last several years, we've heard horror stories of human trafficking crossing the border that was wide open. And something like thousands and thousands of children that had crossed the border that have gone missing, and they have no clue as to where they are. And you have to ask yourself, where are they? What happened to them? Well, how many of those children are either in some kind of forced labor or sex work at this point? And it's a real problem, and hopefully people get a little better sense of it, because human trafficking isn't something that takes place in far off lands. It's happening right here in this country, and it's a sad state of affairs if we can't, as a human race, look at it and take steps to prevent it.
I agree. So tell me, Brian, while you were writing these new books, did you change your way of writing in any way?
No. Except maybe in the fact that I was a little more focused this time. My first book was I had a lot of battles with procrastination and self-doubt, whether or not I was really capable of doing this. But again, the realization of getting it published and people reacting to it, kind of put me over the top and made the second book that much easier. And I just think it all worked out fine, and it brought it home. Like I said, procrastination and self-doubt of writing the first book, diminished with the acclimates and the responses that I've got. So, writing now is a little easier, and I can, spend more time focusing on the books. And I have a new project that I'm about to start that I'm looking forward to. So Number One Fan is my next project, and it's going to be a serial killer book tracked by a high-profile female FBI agent. That's going to be challenging, but it should be a lot of fun. And hopefully that will be out there soon too. But I have to thank you too. Marquee Books has helped got my name out there a little bit, so I appreciate the push. And new authors that are looking for some guidance should be looking to reach out to you guys as well. You guys do
thank
well.
you so much. Thank you so
welcome.
much.
Thank
for
you
the
so
network.
much.
So, Brian, tell me, based on your experience this year and everything you learned, do you have a new advice for people struggling right now with their works?
I still believe it to a degree that, if you know what you're talking about and if you've lived what you're talking about, write about it, it certainly makes it easier, to understand, from your own experiences. My personal experiences is pretty diverse. As you know, I was a former police detective, instructor at the police academy. I taught crisis intervention, domestic disputes, and sex abuse and such. So that there's a part of my world that experienced all that. I was also a firefighter and an EMT, so I've had that exposure to where the normal person runs from or the other runs to, and so I know the adrenaline that goes into running towards the danger than from it. So I bring that into the books too, but if you feel the passion on a subject, that's the starting point. Know that feeling, embrace that feeling, write about it, and you'll be successful.
And do research.
And do your research. Research is key.
I mean, if you're going to portray a real city, you need to at least understand what the layout of the city is. I mean, if you're writing a chasing in, I don't know, Vienna, you have to know what the streets of Vienna are.
Absolutely. And, like I said, research is key. And I've certainly done my share of it over the last several years on the subject of human trafficking. I don't mean to indicate that I was at all experienced any part of that, but I do know victims of abuse, and I've dealt with them in my career. And likewise with my new book, The Day I Spoke to God, I know firsthand people who have suffered from substance abuse and what they've gone through. So the research there, went into the families and the impact through organizations like Al-Anon and such for families dealing with the problems of substance abuse. So research is absolutely critical if you want to be accurate. And I've always, in the books that I've read, I was always impressed with, when you stop for a second and specify more about what you're talking about. It makes it real. It brings it home, and very much so. That's all very part of the journey of writing a book.
Thanks, Ryan. So, after all this time, did you change your support network in any way?
No, my immediate family is still my muse and my support network. They've been great in supporting this habit, and they're there. And my fan base from the first book has grown, and like I said, we're excited to find out that the book was there was a second book and a continuation of the story. So they've been eagerly picking that up. So I'm very happy. I'm very pleased. I'm very fortunate to have this experience in my life right now.
I'm happy to hear that you're finally getting the recognition.
Yeah, validation of the effort is important. I mean, I would have been happy when it just the fact that it published, And I have a friend of mine who is been writing a book for, I think he said 5 years now. It's a historical fiction set around World War II and the plight of the Jewish people with the Holocaust. He is so passionate about that book. I admire him for that. As soon as that book comes out, I'm going to be very supportive of that and help him try to promote that. So.
Oh yeah. How has you been handling the challenge of marketing this year?
Marketing is always tough because I'm not a marketer. I can write
Most
a book,
people aren't.
but and I'm not a marketer. So it's frustrating to me when I get 100 emails a day through my website, thebigdogmedia.com, by the way, and the 100 emails are saying, "Love your book, but you need a cinematic trailer." And I can do that for you. It gets frustrating after a while that, and I have somebody who is experienced in that, and I have a couple of cinematic trailers out there on social media.
Did we make one for you? Because we also do that,
Then you and I need to talk off this call because the more help I can get, the better I am at it.
Okay. So tell me, are you planning to go to an upcoming event, to promote yourself more?
I'm looking at that International Impact Award convention out in Arizona. There are some local events that I'm thinking about doing. There's a couple of this area is pretty open to like the comic book conventions and such. Not necessarily my genre, but there are people there that I know and I've connected with. So if I considering going back and doing another one of those as well.
Well, as you do police crime books, I do think it does match with the concept. So yeah, I don't.
I mean, it gets attention, and that's the bottom line. Whatever you do that gets you a little more attention works. So and like I said, I know some people that are regulars at these events because of the books that they write. And I connect with them and bask in their light as well. So
to be honest, for comic book conventions, I think anything works except like things like self-help, spirituality, stuff like that are not going to look well there. But anything else that has some action, like your book, it works. Any fiction, any mystery, even historic.
It's funny that you say that because one of the comic book people that I know used to work for DC and Marvel and now is independent and does a lot of these conventions. Excuse me?
Good for him.
Yeah, and he has his own couple of storylines that he promotes through his own productions company now. But I've actually approached him, and we've discussed the option of doing a graphic novel that is the origin story of my villain. And my villain in Bone Deep Blues was a sadistic woman who went by the name of Baba Yaga to the Russian mobsters that she was associated with, but used the name Ice Queen throughout. And so the origin story of Ice Queen might actually come out in a graphic novel. So we're looking at that. That's a distinct possibility down the line.
Oh, Oh, okay. That's great. In that case, try to make some models for your main character, maybe, even if they don't appear, but it will be like a very nice extra for your readers. And some other characters they will love to actually see your version.
Yeah, we the A+ content on on Fire and Ice Blues right now actually has images of 4 or 5 of the main characters in the book that people see. I think it helps connect with seeing who it is. People keep talking to me about making this into a movie. My response is your lips to God's ears, but
making movies is problematic because I have met authors that I have interviewed that said that they have movie deals, but when you think about it, getting a movie deal, it's not really that difficult. It's finishing the movie, the part that's difficult.
yeah.
Mostly because you need all that money or the preparations. If you don't have producers that are actually open to pay for it, well, you can imagine.
I do imagine, and I've been approached by people who are looking to do movie scripts, and right from the get-go, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars just to get your foot in the door. And I'm a poor, humble writer. I don't have that availability at this point, so.
And it's better if you don't. It's better if you get a little bit, first, more recognition, second, a little bit more budget. But usually when you present this kind of projects to a big company, a big producer company or something like that, when you are a nobody and you don't have like any power by yourself, some dirty plays came into action sometimes.
Well, I'm kind of waiting for Marquee Books to open up a movie studio and
someday maybe
and
we will love
launch
to.
the JD action series movies.
We will have to. God Lord, that's going to be very, very expensive and maybe many years later. But yeah, that was always my boss intention, even more than becoming a publisher.
And in some ways, it might be easier today because of the advent of such things as Netflix and so forth. Where Amazon does their own studio work, for Prime and Netflix. Where you're not dealing with the powerhouses of Columbia Pictures or Paramount Pictures or whatever. But again, it's getting your foot in the door and getting people to recognize that there's potential there. It's one thing for multiple reviews to come back and say, God, I wish this was a movie. I want to see it, to it actually coming to fruition.
Yeah. Well, Brian, I think that's all for now. Thank you so much for joining us today and for coming back to us.
And again, thank you for having me. And Amazon.com or thebigdogmedia.com. You can find my books there and you find more information about my journey.
We say bye to our friend Brian O'Hallahan. Bye, Brian. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
Hope you get that award next month. And many sales too. If you ever want to come back and you have any other interesting story you want to share, just let us know.
Sure enough. Thank you.
See you next week. Bye. Brian's new successes were interesting to hear, but also this nice advice that he provided. How rejection is part of the process and not the end. It's an advice that we have heard before, but for him and his experiences, it runs deep. Recognitions, awards, and sales, they didn't come overnight for him. And for many, it's the same. Brian have to keep showing up, writing, revising, and believing in his work when no one else was, till it finally showed the results that he expected. So learning some patience and faith can make a difference, and that's the best advice one could learn. Thanks for coming and joining us today. If you liked this episode and find it inspiring, like, subscribe, and share this video, and give Marquee Books a try in the link below. Have a nice day and see you next week. Bye.